Do people tune in at like 5?
Hi everyone, it's Enoch Miller, your Empress of West Hollywood here for another episode of Holding Court with the Empress of WeHo. We want to thank our amazing people, Gaylifela.com and White Rabbit Partners for the reason we have this amazing studio you see today. And we also want to thank our special guest right here with us today, Bryan Hawn.
Ta-da.
We're so excited to have you on board. And if you see me looking around, it's because I'm doing it all by myself today. So I'm doing this funness. So it's actually a lot of fun. But so let's talk about a little bit of just you in the very, very beginning, and then we'll kind of go through and then kind of hit the main topics of becoming a fitness icon with modeling and doing stuff with that.
Okay.
Talk a little bit about how you were a zoologist, which is like kind of the most random thing I don't think anyone's ever really knows about you. And then a lot about your video production and then your songs and the different stuff you do with that.
Okay,
so
cool.
You're originally from Atlanta,
Georgia.
Atlanta,
Southern
Georgia.
boy.
He's a Southern belle.
That's right.
And then when did you move out to this side, to the West Coast area? Because were you originally in San Francisco, right?
I was in San Francisco before I moved here, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what brought you out to San Francisco?
Before I went to San Francisco, I was living in my dad's basement, and I had recently gotten into a car wreck, which, I couldn't get to work. I lost my job. I lost my apartment. It was really, really terrible time. And that's actually when I filmed my first music video parody, Wrecking Ball. And I literally did it just to pull myself out of the misery I was experiencing. It was such a low point, just to try to experience some sense of joy in my life. And when I uploaded it 3 days later, it had more views than my entire channel in 2 years.
And you've been doing that channel since about 6 years ago is when you first started.
Yeah,
it.
6 or 7 years.
And so right about 4 years ago when you put out Wrecking Ball is when it really just kind of launched.
Oh my god, in 3 days it was like bam, overnight. And I hadn't really put much fitness stuff on the internet.
Right.
It was kind of more like little tacky scene covers and things like that. But and I really didn't have any expectation for it either. But apparently it just caught like wildfire, and that's when everybody was emailing me about, I guess, asking about my ass workout.
Okay.
They're like, oh my god, like your ass, what do you do for your ass, blah blah. I'm like, these people are like really going nuts about.
Well, I mean, with good reason. I mean, people see these videos. We're sharing a picture right now. I mean, people see these videos, and I mean, it's your assets are your best asset.
At the time, it really caught me off guard. But I was like, wow, maybe this is like something, because people are really responding to this. And I remember I had a fitness book that I had written 2 years ago that I couldn't figure out how to sell.
And that's the 360...
well, it was called The List.
The List.
The List, yeah. What the top fitness models don't want you to know is all these secrets and tips of, things that I had learned over the years, like little shortcuts to get in shape, stay in shape year-round. And in my book, Chapter 3 was the top 3 best exercises for a perfect ass.
Right.
And I was like, this question people are asking is like in my book. So I decided to put a link to my book in the video. And I had more sales flood in. And from that point on, it literally launched my whole life into financial freedom. And I have never, ever had to worry about money since that day.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, it was crazy. So within 3 days, I decided to move to San Francisco because it was a city where I didn't need a car, and started a film career as a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And that answers your original question of why.
Well, no, it's a great
lot. Yeah,
I mean, it's a great lead. So, I mean, again, let's kind of focus on the aspect of the fitness part of it all, of being, because, so you're a fitness icon, really. You were in billboards in Los Angeles, you're in phone kiosks in Times Square, department stores like Macy, Dillard's, JCPenney. You're also the original eye boxer model for Play Underwear. You were winning Best Swimwear Model in the U.S. World Showcase in Las Vegas. And then you also did a runner-up for Best Male Model in the National Talent Search for Best New Talent.
Where'd you find out all this?
Oh, I found this everywhere. That's everyone else who's like, where do you find this information?
You've been reading too much.
I found it everywhere. Well, but also you've been signed with a bunch of different agencies like Click, Ben's Models, and Wilhelmina. And then the list is really kind of, like you said, it was your first one about showing all those tips about what people don't know about that models and fitness
yeah, because most people, they diet for a specific event. They're like, I have a party I have to go to, or a cruise, or, when you do it for a living, you have to be at your best, like, all the time.
Oh, exactly. Because that's your look. I mean, your look is your fitness.
Well, your money depends on it.
Right.
And that's a lot of pressure when you're like, okay, the lights are going off if I don't like stay in shape.
Right, exactly.
It's like a whole new...
It's a big deal. It really is. And so really, what kind of brought you into this as a either youth or when did you first know, like, hey, I wanted to do modeling or do something along the lines of fitness and modeling?
It's really interesting because it wasn't really something that I pursued really hardcore. It was more of something that different photographers approached me off the street. They're like, hey, I want to submit you for this. Hey, I want to submit you for that. And then, like, I remember I entered this singing talent show one time, and they had, like, a modeling category, too. And the lady's like, you should really do the modeling thing. And I'm like, it's not really my thing. Like, no, do it. And then I ended up winning a category. So I'm like, maybe I should, like, so it kind of was something that kind of...
It just kind of fell into your lap.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it just kind of flowed with what was showing up.
Gotcha. And then when did you actually started booking, like, real modeling gigs and actually really being known as a fitness icon? Would that become a little surreal for you, or were you kind of just like a little bit more like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've actually made an impact in this industry?
Trying to go back to that emotion that I was experiencing, I think I came from a very conservative background, Southern Baptist. So the fact that I was doing...
Conservative right there.
The fact that I was doing pictures in my underwear, I mean, that, like, went like wildfire throughout my high school the second that I came out with anything. So it was a very much like a shock factor, and I remember feeling like I'm really swimming upstream here because I'm already going against the grain of how I was raised, what I was taught, this very conservative background. The fact that I had some success to the point where now all these bitches were walking into Macy's, seeing my poster on the underwear section, and like, bam, bam, bam. They're like, it's like when you have some success to back you up, then all of a sudden it kind of silently shuts everybody up that was kind of, giving you all that shade.
And at this time, were you even remotely out being gay at all, or was that much later that you actually came out?
I had come out to myself, and I was experiencing gay life from 16 years old forward, but I didn't really tell my family confirmation-wise till I was 23, but they had basically asked me straight up since I was about 8.
So they do. So they all do. And it's actually funny. You can see some of his videos. You see his mom in it, and that girl gives you face, gives you hair flip, gives you chest for days. I mean, I can see where he gets his flamboyantness, but
I was really flaming. Like, I was on fire. Like, it was. Whew.
So really, like, how? Because a lot of people have different stories, especially coming from a very religious and very Southern background. How were they when they first found out, or you first told them?
In Southern culture, you don't really ever say something mean to someone's face. You do it behind their back.
Got it. Okay. So they were some shady bitches.
It was like they're so nice to your face, but in their mind they're thinking, you satanic little... No.
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprising on some of that stuff with that.
Or no, it was very much like, it was kind of this patronizing, like, we're praying for you.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like,
yeah, that's my family.
we love you.
Yeah.
It's like, I love you too.
We love you, and so does Jesus.
Yeah.
It's that very passive-aggressive way of coming out.
Exactly.
No, I totally get it. So when you were saying, like, you were put out that video for Wrecking Ball, and it kind of just shot out and really it just exploded like it did you know at that point in your life that you were going to say, okay, because of the success I made from this, now I need to do parodies more and more? Or were you kind of like still at that time figuring it out with all of it?
I think that I was sucked into the moment of having literally nothing. I was 28 years old,
Right.
living in my dad's basement, no job, no apartment,
Right.
and all of a sudden I had a window of light where I had money coming in. People were enjoying my content that I was making. No, it wasn't really ever anything that I like set out to do or set out to make a career, but I was like, right now, this is pulling me out of a hole.
Right.
And on top of it, it ended up making me 4-time best-selling self-published author
Right.
for my fitness book. So I'm
Right.
like, all of a sudden, my book is like on the charts, on the health and fitness charts, and it's like,
Well, before it didn't even register.
yeah, before it was like in my house.
Well, and from these two, what was really cool, I mean, you also made 2 more books, coffee table books, from all the different video parodies you've done as well.
I think, like, when I first came out with the first book, you know, it was just this, like, shortcut, bam, fast, like, tips and secrets, and people who were reading it were like, we want actual full-blown
Right.
workouts. We want, like, a regimen that we can follow. Tell me, you know, it had a few exercises in there, but it wasn't really, like, a full-blown, let me turn your whole body around.
Right.
And that's what inspired the List 360. And having so much success with a book that was just so, I mean, I was very new. It was my first book I wrote, so, you know, it was not like a professional writer by any means.
Well, writing books isn't easy, period,
No,
regardless of what it is.
I really, like, took my time with the next one. I'm like, okay, this one, I'm, like, going to make it, you know, publish it right, and the layout and everything, really take my time. And I'm super proud of it. That's definitely, if you have to get one of the two, the List 360 is amazing. It literally will change your life. It's changed so many. But yeah, I'm super proud of that work for sure.
And so with the parody, I mean, because you've done, I mean, I haven't looked, but you've done at least, I mean, like almost 4 years worth of parodies. What inspires you, besides it being obviously a song you like, what really inspires you to say, oh my gosh, I love this song, I want to do a parody of this song?
You know, everything, the whole entire purpose of the parody was to sell fitness books. And I love the whole business setup of it because you're doing this entertainment thing where you're making people laugh, showing off your physique, it's fun, it's sexy, but people really have no idea that the entire purpose of it was to sell a fitness book.
Okay.
And, you know, coming across the video and like, oh wait, but he has his workout like here, people feel like I discovered it on my own versus like, hi, I'm a fitness author, you should buy my book.
Right.
It will tell you I do this and this.
Yeah.
Like, people hate, like, that type of sales pitch. So that indirect marketing where it's like, oh, and by the way, if you're interested, you know, this is kind of
if you like what you see, if you like what you see, here's how you can get like it. So
yeah,
I like that. And it's honestly, it's a very smart way of, I mean, because again, I mean, you're right. It's the stereotypical way of people, how they approach, how they try and market to you and like try and get their business from you. It's very boring and standing. You're like, I don't want to work out.
I mean, to answer your original question though, so thinking of that, okay, the goal is to sell books.
Right.
I wanted to pick songs that were getting the most traffic because like I can pick a song that I love, but if that song isn't charting, isn't getting a ton of traffic on YouTube, and it's also the timing of it. You know, one of the reasons why Wrecking Ball or Chandelier have millions of views was Wrecking Ball. I had that video out within 3 days of Miley.
Oh wow!
I was one of the
you were right
first,
on the cusp
I was
of it.
on her tail,
Got it.
and so people searching her, I mean, I was right underneath. And Chandelier, when that came out, she came out with the audio. I actually had an official video up 3 weeks before she even released a video.
Oh wow!
So people were searching Chandelier for the
and
video,
you were coming up on top.
and it was like, bam, it was just me.
So that's really smart. The fact, again, I can see the strategicness of you going and picking number one on the hit charts and things like that, because then the instant you're up there and having your stuff live, they're already searching those types of other keywords.
And it's a risk factor too, because a song comes out, if you can guess that it's going to be big before it's big, then it's huge payoff. But then you risk filming an entire video of a song that may not
do well,
go anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. And that's true. It's a very, again, it's a risk with anything you do with that.
Yeah.
And what have you found has been, maybe not like the most difficult, but the most challenging aspect of being a YouTuber? Because, it's always hard for a lot of people we've talked to that do YouTube channels. It's hard to sometimes get a lot of traction on your videos, or hard to get people engaged. What do you feel has been the most difficult process out of all of it?
I think consistently coming up with something new.
Got it. Okay.
Because, you want to take the same elements that represent you and then put it out there in a different way, something people haven't seen before. Because people watch it, they're like, oh, I've already seen this.
Gotcha.
And, everyone has the attention span of a fruit fly these days. So keeping their attention, keeping their engagement, staying relative, making the magazines still want to post your content. Like,
right.
Why should we post the same thing that we posted? So it's like reinventing yourself 300 times in a different... And I think that's the most challenging for sure. And sometimes you have a method or a game plan that works for a while, and then it stops working. And then you're like, you got to come up with a new system, a new marketing strategy, a new way of creating income. And
so running a business basically is what it is.
Literally. Exactly. And I think for me, especially having my income depend on it.
Yeah.
A lot of YouTubers, they do it, as a hobby, but they have real jobs. I didn't have a real job.
Right.
This was it. So I either pay those light bills or,
and you're like, what the hell's going on?
On the street.
Yeah. And that's a very interesting thing, because you're right, not very many YouTubers are ones doing it full time. And the ones that typically are, once they got to that point, that's when they stopped working a second job, because based on what they were already bringing in.
Right.
But now they're like you, where it's dependent on those views. It's dependent on those people watching and the number of their subscribers going up.
And God forbid you adjust your lifestyle if you have any sense of success, because it's feast and famine. So you're like, oh, I'm banking the money. I've got, all this coming in. And then all of a sudden, bam, it drops off. And then you're like, uh-oh.
And for a couple of months, you're like, what the hell am I going to do? Or, you don't always have, sometimes a hit song come up right away, or you have to wait for things to pop in.
To be consistently on top is next to impossible. It's really, really challenging.
Because we all love to be on top. Always. But, so now you've kind of, the new thing you've added to this whole experience with going through the parodies and your fitness is your fans, or your OnlyFans page. And you've seen a lot of those pop up actually recently within the last year. A lot of OnlyFans pages have popped up, and it's been lots of models, some porn stars, lots of musicians that do more fitness and body stuff. But I've seen a lot of athletes do it with some of their own personal things. What really put you into that direction of doing an OnlyFans page, and then what's been your overall kind of feedback on it?
Well, when I found out about OnlyFans, it basically was introduced to me as a paid Instagram. So it's like if people were paying to see your Instagram feed. And based on my business strategy from before, how it works is I post an ass picture and I sell a book.
Got it.
So my Instagram is literally covered in ass pictures, because
literally. No, he's not kidding.
Literally, it was just like,
these are some of the pictures that you're seeing on right now that Facebook, Instagram, all this stuff. Just think of what the rest of them look like. No, I'm kidding, but still, you're right. It's basically all that.
And part of me personally didn't really care for that. It's like, hi, you meet someone new and they're like, oh, let me see your Instagram, and then all of a sudden it's just like covered, and you're just like, I don't really have one. Or
I don't have one you can see.
Yeah, so, it was kind of, I definitely dealt with that inner conflict. It's like I'm trying to make money, but then, I'm kind of representing myself as a whore
What?
to try to sell a book, putting my ass all over. I mean, literally, it's like, Jesus.
I'm not laughing at you because it's true, but I mean, it is. It's an internal conflict you have with yourself.
It's an exhausting puzzle to balance. And, OnlyFans was like, okay, people will pay to see these posts. So I decided I'm going to take all of these ass posts, which are literally like 75% of my Instagram, and I put it on my OnlyFans. I was like, you know what? People should pay to see this. I shouldn't be showing everything for free.
No. If you want this, you're going to pay for this. You're buying me dinner.
So I was like, you know what? All this content, I'm just going to move it over. I'm going to clean up my Instagram. I'm going to make it look more sexy fitness versus sexy soft porn. And
so integration.
So when I launched it, like, the money just flooded in. Like, literally, it was just, I feel very excited, very grateful, and because that money has literally given me the ability to take my video content to the next level, my channel, my brand to the next level. Mm-hmm. I'm now planning a trip to film in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Next month, which OnlyFans is the reason I can afford that. And launching a billboard campaign October 30th. I have 2 billboards going up, one on Santa Monica Boulevard and one on La Cienega, right in West Hollywood. And OnlyFans is the reason that I'm able to do that. So,
and the billboards are a big deal, but also, South Africa. Are you having anywhere specific planned for it? Okay. Yeah. I get that a lot. I always ask these questions. They're like, "Yes, that's exactly right." And I'm like, and they're like, "No, yes, that's it."
Yeah,
that's all.
I'm planning on going to Victoria Falls.
Okay.
Which is the largest waterfall in the world. I'm going to bungee jump off the bridge, which is going to be super exciting. If I come back alive, I'll tell you about it.
Jesus.
I want to ride an ostrich, which
they're you have to be careful.
They're like dinosaurs.
They are. Well, I used to live in South Africa. Really? I lived in South Africa for 4 years, and so ostriches are mean. I've ridden a couple elephants. I've done a couple of the water buffaloes. Hippos are mean as well.
You did a water buffalo?
No, I didn't do a water buffalo. I rode on top of a water buffalo.
That's pretty cool. They're mean too.
They can be if they're captured from outside and brought in. If they're domesticated and they were like raised on almost like a farm, they're a little bit easier. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. But you're going to be more towards like the Zambia area.
Yeah, I'm going to Cape Town too.
Okay.
And Durban.
Okay. Been to both those places for vacation. They're beautiful. You got to do Table Mountain. That's a lot of fun.
So excited.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Little sky thing that goes up.
And so really Fans Only has really opened this whole avenue for you to I would say Fans Only. OnlyFans has this avenue for you to really expand your content. And then like you're saying for new things that's allow you to do for your videos, what really have you done more because of OnlyFans that you haven't really done before with your videos?
So basically I have 2 video on demand kind of platforms where people can pay to actually watch content. And it's been a goal of mine to kind of clean up the Bryan Hawn internet and kind of, all of this ass content that's everywhere, make it available for the people who want to pay for it, and then the people who are just searching me for fitness stuff, they don't have to be blinded by all of the
blinded by the white ass light.
This poor 40-year-old mom who's just trying to lose weight from Alabama is like
Well, and I can see, and you can see that a lot of your most recent parodies where you've done it's been a little bit more like censored in the sense.
Yeah.
When you did the one with Imagine Dragons, you had an apple that followed your butt around the whole time. So I can see.
Let's be honest. Kids are on YouTube,
right,
and stuff like that, and so I want to kind of censor it so, it's appropriate for all audiences. And then if you still want to see that, it's still available, but behind a wall, which is a little safer. And so YouTube and Vimeo are kind of like the 2 platforms for my more professional content.
Got it.
So the YouTube videos that I spend a lot of time putting together, and I spend, a a few $1,000s on location or props and
Right.
everything, and those professional uncensored videos are on my Vimeo channel,
Got it.
vimeo.com on demand Bryan Hawn Red. And then Instagram and OnlyFans is more of like the candid iPhone like selfies. So
Got it.
it's kind of like scandalous selfies, little scandalous videos. Everything's a little bit more, let me just pull out my iPhone and do a quick, video out of the tanning bed or out of the shower.
Got it. Or like doing like I see there was a couple like you doing like workout stuff.
Yeah, like,
and like
push-ups in my room.
Right,
or,
things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more intimate in the sense of it's more like they're there and like they're there with you almost.
Yeah, I mean it's a little cheaper for OnlyFans because I don't put a lot into the production. Where Vimeo, it's like I really, they're huge productions.
Oh yeah.
So they're like a little bit more expensive if you want that quality.
And I still want to buy that want that mansion that you were in a couple videos back. I don't remember where it was. Was it was it here or was it Malibu?
It was in the hills.
Okay, it was in the hills.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was gorgeous. Oh my god. It was this massive thing. It's just like so did you like rent that for the day or something like that?
Yeah,
okay.
I found on Pure Space and rented it for the day, and it was super fun. I mean, I'm really excited about opportunities to do stuff like that
Right.
because of the support that's coming in from things like OnlyFans and Vimeo. I have the ability to rent out a mansion like
Right.
that. Or one of my favorites was Castle on the Hill, where I literally flew to Florida and rented out a castle.
Right.
I mean, it's like I can't imagine 5 years ago even wrapping my brain around
yeah.
the idea of doing something like that.
Yeah.
And now I just feel like the sky's the limit.
Which is great, and it's honestly really fun for you when you develop content and developing other things with it, because it makes it that much more interesting for the people watching it and for them to get involved. Where do you see your video content coming up within maybe the next year or so? I mean, what things are you looking to add to really, like you said, you're always having to up the ante a little bit every so often. Where do you feel the next phase of Bryan Hawn parody is coming up to?
The whole social media world is so interesting because it's pretty new for everybody. All these YouTube stars, all these people who are social media famous
Right.
are kind of trying to navigate, where do you go next?
Yeah.
Are you getting brand deals? Are you showing up in movies? Do you get your own TV, Netflix show?
Right.
Like, obviously something like that would be amazing, but I think the bottom line is when you have a huge following, all of a sudden you hold the cards for a lot of different opportunities because everybody wants a guaranteed audience.
Right.
And I think a lot of these really talented singers, actors, artists in Los Angeles, they don't really understand that talent is important, but it's only important in the sense of hoping that it can bring in an audience.
Okay.
We're thinking the more talented you are, the more people will watch you. But that's not always necessarily the case. And at the end of the day, audience equals money.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what your talent is or how good or how amazing or how terrible it is. If you can bring in an audience, that is guaranteeing you success in the entertainment world.
Yeah.
And the bigger that audience is, the more cards you have to play and things you can ask for and demand and create for yourself, and the more people that are going to be flocking to work with you because they want a piece of that audience.
Right. Well, and then again, that's exactly what you mean. That the last part you said is, I mean, people want a piece of your audience, and that's the biggest thing for anyone, especially in this industry, is they look for who you bring in, they look for how many people bring in. They mean, hey, if you're using my venue and these many people sign up to use my venue as well, you're bringing me extra. And it's like it's very much who you are, what your brand's about, and again, what your attraction is towards your consumers and your fans. And
Absolutely.
So what would be like the number one thing that you would want to do probably within the next year with your videos that would be like, this is like, again, still like a blue sky kind of thing, but still like one thing you have maybe your heart set on here in the future of like, I want to do a video doing this or with this person or something like that?
Are you talking about overall in general?
Just in general, like your top number one, like, oh my god, I would love to do this.
So as far as video ideas, one of the things that I've really wanted to do for about 2 years, I'm actually doing, which is a cheetah walk in South Africa.
Okay.
Which is going to be super fun. I mean, I think you're with a guide and you get to walk a cheetah on a leash that's like tame for like a few hours. And I think we're doing a lion walk too. So it'll be like a lion and a cheetah, which is going to be...
Well, there's an actual big lion reserve out there that I've been to that's really amazing. And they just have, I mean, there's like, I don't even remember how many they had, but they had tons and tons of lions out there that they've either helped like from the wild, they've helped bring back to health, they help there that some of them are domesticated, and they kind of do this whole thing of people with an educational thing of them understanding lions.
I mean, I think some of the happiest moments in my life have been consistently when I've been around wildlife. Mm-hmm. So that is always like a pinnacle for me, those experiences. It literally just lights up my entire world. So that, and then the other video that I'm wanting to do, which will probably be next year, is I want to play with baby pandas in Chengdu, China. Oh,
wow. That would be pretty badass. And I'd love to just expand upon this whole, again, the most random aspect of all of this with Bryan is your zoology and you being a zoologist with this. Like, how in the world did that come about with you, and how did you even get that ability to become something like that?
You know, it is one of those stories where it is literally to the T, follow your heart, follow your passion, follow your dream, and that literally guided the way for me. I was going through a very difficult time in my life where I was in a relationship where I really thought I had lost who I was, and sometimes you get connected with someone, you get wrapped up in trying to make them happy, and you forget to like take time for yourself.
Got it.
So in that kind of journey to get back to me, I was like, I want to go back to something that I'm really passionate about. I have been since I was a little boy, and I want to just explore this world and just see where it takes me. And I literally decided to start my own zoo.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I want to start my own zoo, and I'm going to start out small.
Then I'm started out small with a hyena, by the way.
I wanted to buy some land and just make this thing happen. And at the time I was trying to research all over the internet different things that were for sale, and obviously wanting to start a zoo, you look for animals that are more exotic because you want it to be legit. You're gonna be like, oh, I have a zoo, I have one hamster and a parakeet. It's like, no, that's not a
like,
zoo.
So does the pet store.
So yeah, I was definitely working with animal brokers on trying to create, this dream of mine and breeders. And I had land at the time that I was working on closing with Bank of America in Alabama, where I would go and I have a few acres to really build this thing. And at the time that it was closing, I got a call saying they had a baby hyena that was for sale in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
And it was like $5,000, and I had a couple weeks to get the money. And it was so crazy how it just, when you want something bad enough, you just find a way to make it happen. And, I think just on this journey, the excitement that I had, the passion, when you love something, you don't have to work very hard to get good at it because you spend so much time doing it that just happens naturally.
Yeah.
And you never get tired. It's not work for you.
Right.
When you love something, you can go 9, 10, 12, 18 hours and you're just not tired.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're like, wow, look how much I've learned, look how much I've experienced. And when I got this baby hyena, that's what it was like for me. I spent literally 8 hours a day hanging out with this little guy because it just was the greatest thing of my entire...
It's like childhood accomplished.
Oh my God, it was insanity. And, hyenas, they're not supposed to be tame into adulthood. That doesn't really happen.
Got it.
The amount of time you have to spend is astronomical for it to even imprint on them.
Right.
And a lion, you go away for 2 weeks and they'll remember you. A hyena won't.
Got it.
So, having created a bond that went into adulthood with this hyena, all of a sudden, it started getting a lot of attention. But I mean, before that, like the land that I had planned on closing with Bank of America, they did not give me the loan.
Got it.
So I had to find a new home for Jake.
Mm-hmm. And
I called 3 zoos. They all like turned me down.
Oh wow.
Miami Zoos, the Jungle Island turned me down. Lion Country Safari turned me down, and I had nowhere to take this animal, and he was getting bigger.
Well, right, and they grew up quick.
Oh yeah, and it just wasn't a very simple equation to figure out. And finally, I found the Zoological Wildlife Foundation, where they allowed me a chance to build an enclosure. They're like, we won't take him in, but if you spend the money to build a new enclosure, then we'll take him.
Oh, okay.
So I spent like $2,000 building a enclosure for him, so he had somewhere to go and he had room to run around. And that's when I was in a place where all of a sudden the media started catching
wind of it all.
What was going on. And then that's all of a sudden, or I had Animal Planet calling me, I had National Geographic calling me.
Wow.
Zoo Miami hired me with no schooling,
right,
no zoology degree, just simply based off the video of watching these animals like interact with me. They're like, we want him working with our rhinos, giraffes, and camels.
Jeez.
And they frontlined me. People had been on the waiting list for 3 years with degrees.
Wow.
And they frontlined me and hired me.
And I would just love to I found this part about it all, but basically you became an animal behaviorist, and shocking the world with the relationship you and Jake had. And then for years people thought it was going to be an untamable animal.
Everybody, my God, my family, they thought I was nuts. Like, you're going to get eaten. It's going to tear you alive.
Well, also, people don't know. Hyenas have some of the strongest jaws in the entire animal kingdom, and they are like, they get onto you. It's like, it's worse than an alligator or crocodile getting onto you. I mean, that thing will snap and break off and come away.
It literally is the strongest jaw pressure their bite, the bite from a baby is a bad day. A hyena can crush the skull of an elephant with one bite. Like, they will
things are crazy.
They will devour a zebra and leave no trace of it within minutes.
Wow.
A pack of hyenas. Like, it will eat you and nobody will know where you went because it digested all of you.
Yeah. and so this was right around 2011, 2012 when you were working with Jake, and then kind of all this media attention came to light with everything, and you were on Animal Planet's Fatal Attraction.
Yes.
With that.
Which I'm the only person that's ever been on that show that is still living.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Because then he got out of that profession and is now doing modeling.
Everybody else that they do that show about died, and they have their families talking about it, and that's the only one that
and then you also did an autobiography too, another book that you wrote of how the heck did you end up with a hyena?
Yeah.
And really, obviously you had done your writing before with that. What inspired this one to really put you out there to write about your experience with Jake?
I had everybody telling my story but me.
Okay.
And having done 7 hours of interviews with Animal Planet, with National Geographic, like, they literally film your whole story and then they just pull the pieces that they want to share.
Oh, it's like a reality show, yeah.
And so, like, people only, it's like if you tell them this fact, this fact, this fact, but you leave out all these pieces of the story, all of a sudden it can look a certain way that it was not. I mean, you leave out a few key details and it changes everything. It changes the intention. It changes the way that you view the person. And it's like, I want a chance to tell my story from my point of view. I want people to hear from the source what happened, why it happened, how I got into it, what it was like from start to finish, the hardships, the laughter, the love, everything, the emotions, firsthand from me. I want people to experience this journey and literally walk them through everything that happened from an authenticity standpoint. There's nothing more frustrating than watching someone else turn your story into something that it wasn't.
Yeah, so it's basically just your chance to tell your story unfiltered, unabated, without anyone else telling you what you could or couldn't say or actually editing it all out.
Yeah, and a lot of times, especially one of the things that people don't know, they're like, oh my God, you had Jake and you had it in this apartment. People don't know that, like, the zoology research that I did with other zoos, they raise baby lions and baby tigers and baby hyenas indoors because they have to be bottle fed 3 times a day.
Oh, wow.
You have to help them go to the bathroom 2 to 3 times a day. They get constipated and will die if they don't. And you have to put vegetable oil in their milk to, like, literally wipe their rear end with a wet rag to stimulate their digestive tract. You have to keep an eye on them 24/7.
So it's like 24-hour care that you've got to pay attention.
And that's why you have them indoors. So it's like, oh my gosh, it's just so terrible. In the beginning, no, that's actually how it's supposed to be done. But when things didn't close on, the land, and when all these zoos are turning me down, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we have a problem.
Then it's an issue. But then you did everything you could at that point to rectify it.
Exactly, yeah. So, and then another thing is, like, when I got Jake was not from Africa. He was from a zoo. His parents lived in a zoo.
Okay.
He would always be in a zoo. He was never, ever had any chance of not being in a zoo.
Got it.
So this is not an animal that I pulled from the wild.
Got it.
Who, and the third thing that I really want people to know about this story is the zoo that I got Jake from burned down not once, twice, but 3 times.
Oh my God.
Killing tons of animals,
I can only imagine.
Including Jake's family. Jake would have died in that fire if my crazy ass didn't come along and take him in.
I'm sorry, that's just bad okay, first of all, for any zoo, I can understand that, like, there's accidents, maybe 1 fire, but 3... something's happening and there's insurance for it. I know it.
In New Jersey, it's so cold in the winters,
right?
And they have to heat all those enclosures so the animals don't die. So those heaters, they kept catching fire.
Got it.
And Bridget, who ended up selling Jake to me, she went back in to try to get her mom out of the house, and she ended up dying in the fire, and her mom was already out and she didn't know
that.
Yeah,
wow.
It's really tragic, terrible, horrific story, but Jake is alive today.
And where is Jake at today?
He is at Octagon Wildlife in Fort Myers. He survived Hurricane Irma.
Oh, wow.
So we're very proud of him.
Yay! And do you get to see Jake often anymore? Or
I fly to see him once or twice a year.
Okay.
And usually for his birthday or my birthday.
Okay.
And he always freaks out. I try to video it and put it on YouTube, but there's some definitely good videos of me surprising him and him just going ballistic, which is super cute.
So he still, even to this day, is always happy to see you, knows who you are, isn't aggressive with you, other than playing, like, nothing out of the ordinary.
I think the amount of love and excitement, if you see the video, I mean, for yourself, you're just like, wow, that animal loves him. Like,
and you see this constant with a lot of people that have raised animals, either in captivity or been with them in the wild. Like the guy that raised all those lions and ends up coming back like 10 years later, and they all know he is, loves on him. I mean, you see this stuff happen. I mean, there is a special type of bond that is formed between someone like yourself and that animal that really transcends time and space, and you guys are just always together.
Absolutely. And those screams that he gives and those little noises that he makes, they represent so many hours and so much time spent and memories. And
like you said, 8 hours a day at least.
Like, it literally was like my best friend, as crazy as that sounds.
No,
I was so happy around that little guy, and just, I don't know, it was an amazing experience. And I think just being able to get that response, you feel so much love back from a wild animal like that. It's an experience that you can't even, like...
Oh, yeah, you can't put into words.
No,
it really is. And the great thing is you'll be able to see him soon here from South Africa doing cheetahs. And then hopefully in Asia doing pandas. So this will be a fun experience for you to do that with animals.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've always had a very unique experience with animals in general across the board, and I feel that they respond to me more than just the average or normal human being. Like, for example, when I worked for Zoo Miami, they would have this giraffe station where people pay $3 to $5 to feed kale to these giraffes. But the giraffe enclosure was huge.
Right.
So a lot of times they wanted to feed the giraffes, but the giraffes
they're not having it.
They didn't want to come over. And they nicknamed me the Giraffe Whisperer because literally, like, the second I showed up, all 5 giraffes, like, start walking towards the platform, bypass all of these people with food, and literally stick their head down, like, to say hi to me. And, like, people are just like, what?
Because they were all female, and they saw Bryan come up, and they're like, hey, girl.
But, like, literally, if I had to give an explanation, I think it's just because they know how much I love them. They can feel it.
They probably can, for sure.
I have so much...
Animals are very intuitive.
Yes. I have so much love for them, and I feel that energy is magnetic, and I think that's why they feel so comfortable.
Well, that's really amazing. And honestly, we always look forward to seeing what's going to happen. Bryan, is there anything within the next maybe, like, a few weeks, month or so that people can look forward from your channel or from anything from YouTube that they can say, check it, like you have a new parody coming or anything like that people can look out for?
Definitely my trip to South Africa. I think it's going to be some of my best video content yet.
Okay.
Victoria Falls, the animal interaction.
Right.
I'm so excited about
when do you leave for that?
It's going to be like November 14th through the 22nd.
Okay. So you'll probably have something for everyone to view right before the end of the year, beginning of the year-ish.
I'm pretty quick with editing, super fast. So that content will probably be up before December.
Okay, great. So you guys pay attention Thanksgiving, December for the African experience. We'll have to wait to see exactly what that's going to look like because he won't freaking tell us. But we'll all look forward to that. Make sure you check him out. Bryan Hawn, you find all his information here on his lower third, where you have him on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Check out some of the Facebook, though, because if you look at one, there's like 3 of them. One's the management, the other 2 are the fun ones. So, the management one. But thank you so much for coming here today, Bryan. We really appreciate having you on board.
No, thank you for having me.
Of course.
It's so much fun.
We want to thank always our special sponsors, Gaylifela.com and White Rabbit Partners for honestly letting us do what we do here today. And make sure to tune in next week where we'll have a little fun special guest with Ricky Rebel. So we're really excited to interview with him. And make sure you guys check us out on Gaylifela. And thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.